Okay, so, somebody's baby's crying. So this is our new coach call, and I'm Ashley, and my team's the Inspiration Crew, which most of y'all are on. Here, you're on my team or one of my coaches' team. And then up here is Acacia.
Hi, guys.
And she is the owner, the CEO of Radical Renegades, and that's her team. And she's got a couple of new coaches on as well with us. And Acacia and I are actually success partners. So we had talked, or I think that she's probably talked to you guys too, but we've talked about success partners and how awesome and what a huge blessing it is to be able to have like a partner to do things with. It really helps take off the weight of just all the tasks and things that you have to do every day, as far as hosting challenges and planning out your months and things like that, and just like life things. Like I was pregnant and had a baby, and she kind of helped pick up my slack, and now she's pregnant again. And I'm able to help pick up her slack a little bit, and so we just get to work together, and it makes life so much easier. And it's just really fun because you really get to build that connection, and just get to know them. They become like your best friends. So that's something that we really have loved, and our upline coaches kind of put us in contact like maybe not even like 2 weeks into us starting our coaching career. And so we kind of had a little date like this, and we sat in front of each other and we chatted for a minute and kind of talked about our goals. And I'm like, I want to leave my job, and I'm a teacher, and I don't want to go back next year. And she's like, dude, me too. And so we were like, yes. And we had like the same goals, and we had the same passion and the same kind of drive that we really wanted to have in our business. And so we immediately were like, check yes, we're going to be success partners. And that's kind of the end of it. So Acacia, do you have anything to say about success partners?
The only thing I would say is that it's vital. If you don't have one, you've got to get yourself one, because it grows your business. Just because you have somebody other than your upline coach to bounce your ideas off of gives you a little bit more ownership of your own business, instead of, being on the curtails where you feel like, it's your business to do what you want with and kind of grow it. And then, you gain wisdom from your upline, but, you take the reins. And I think that having a success partner really helps you do that. So yeah.
I was going to say that too. It does help you because like sometimes when you think about like, oh my gosh, I mean, obviously both of our teams are still small, or they feel smaller, but like Team Inspiration, our upline is huge. And so it can kind of feel like you're like this tiny itty bitty little fish in this massive sea of people. And you're like, I don't know how to kind of be my own person and how to kind of do my own thing. And so that's something that Acacia and I kind of felt empowered to do on our own, was like, okay, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. And we can kind of like work together and plan how we're going to do our own teams. And like, let's come up with names. And do you like this logo? Do you like that? And it's just fun because you can kind of play off of each other, and it feels like you're not alone, like you have somebody to kind of support you no matter what. So definitely what Acacia said, it's very, very vital to have somebody, if not a few people. I have been talking to a lot of coaches on other teams, and they have like success groups. And I would say no more than like 4 people, but you really want to think about your style. So not only do you want to kind of think about, are your morals kind of the same? Are your goals kind of the same? If you're wanting to be just a hobby coach, but your success partner is like, I'm taking this like to the roof. I'm going to be top 10. I want to get out of my job like in 5 months, that kind of thing. You're not going to line up very well together. So you really have to sit and kind of figure out who you're going to work with, who you have common goals with, even down to like the posting style and the way that you kind of, how you coach and how you post about stuff. Because if you guys both have really different styles too, that might not, it might not be easy for you to let go of the reins. Like Acacia and I'm like, yeah, sure, you create the graphic, or I'll create the graphic, or you do the posting schedule, or I'll do this. And we both very much trust each other on what we're going to do, because we know that it's going to be really quality work, that it's going to be quality quotes and posts and quality graphics and things like that, where we're not going to have extra work and go back and fix it and that kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's super key. If like with Ashley and I, a lot of times I'm like, okay, girl, you take the graphic because she's amazing at it. I'm like, I'll start the posting schedule because I'm very like analytical. I can, I lifestyle, and she's so visual. So it's like also playing off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. And strengths and strengths, so it's really key. And you have to trust the person you're working with, because if you're going back and like redoing things, then you might as well not have a partner to begin with. So
yeah, absolutely. So just a little plug for Success Partners. And I know that we've talked about it before, but it's kind of fun to have her on with me at the same time so y'all can kind of see us. We kind of just finish each other's sentences and just kind of just go with the flow and talk about stuff, or call each other when we're on the road. And we're like, we have Lisa, we're like, oh my gosh, we seriously have been playing phone tag for like 3 weeks. And then we'll finally connect, and it's like hours of talking, just game planning and stuff. So does anybody have questions about Success Partners? You guys know that there is a group for Inspiration for Success Partners where you guys can post your little spiel in both of our, well, at least in my team page, we have a thread going for Success Partners. And I know Keisha has talked about that with you guys too. So, make sure to reach out to us, or just if there's somebody that you see that's a fairly new coach or somebody that you think you might relate to, just ask them. See, hey, do you have a success partner? Would you want to try to host a challenge together and see how it goes? And if it doesn't go well, no hard feelings, maybe we can find somebody else. So, does anybody have questions about that, or like concerns about Success Partners, or anybody just, confused or something? No? Okay, cool. Good. Okay, Acacia, where do we want to get with this? I guess in our new coach page for my coaches that posted questions, and I just added Acacia so she could see them as well. We have quite a few questions that were asked today, and we kind of thought that it might be beneficial just to like go through them and answer them for you guys, because that way it's going to be kind of brief, because obviously we could dive in and talk for like a good 30-40 minutes probably on each topic, especially some of these questions about like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. And I would be happy to post some videos that have been especially helpful to myself and to Acacia, because that can be something that you can watch in your own time, but obviously not something that we're going to dive into super, super deep. But we thought that we would go through some of these questions and kind of tackle them together and answer them for y'all. And as you're thinking, if you guys have more, just go ahead and post them on that page or write them down, and you can ask them in just a minute once we finish these.
But you can put them in the chat thread.
Oh yeah, the chat box too.
Yeah, and I'll watch that. That's
perfect. Okay, so one of the first questions was from Ashley, and she said, how do I expand my audience on Facebook and Instagram without seeming weird or sales-ish? Isn't that what we all want to know as new coaches? It's like, oh, it's so awkward. What do I do? I'm going to let Acacia take this one first, because she has a good way that she does it, and then I'll kind of piggyback off of her and tell you what I do too.
Okay, so this has been how I've been expanding my network, because I'm completely out of friends and college and high school and anybody that I know. And so it's like, well, if I'm going to grow, I've got to add people that I do not know. So it took me a little bit, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So the best way for me is I have 4 interest groups that I'm a part of that I'm actively participating in, which means I either check in about every other day. So I try and do 2 one day, 2 another. I post in that group probably once or twice a week, just like a question or a poll or something, and then I comment underneath people's message threads. And so when I'm interacting with someone, I see if I'm their friend. So let's say somebody commented an answer to one of my questions in that interest group. I see that they commented, so they kind of know my name. They kind of know a little bit of who I am. I'm going to add them as a friend, and I'm going to send them a message. And I'm going to screen share real quick one of the messages that I send, and this is how I always send it. So it says, and I do it the same way. I have this pulled up. I do it the same way every time. Hey girl, I saw you are a crunchy mom, but I saw you are such and such, whatever interest group they're in. I love getting to connect more with like-minded mamas. I hope you don't mind I sent you a friend request. That's it. Super simple, super short. And I'll do like 5 of these. Bam, 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 bam. So I asked a question. I have 5 people who commented on that question or liked the question, or like I shared something about my daughter potty training in a mom's group, and I had a question. Lots of people commented, and then I messaged them and I added them as a friend. So it was a non-salesy way to add to my warm market. So it's always, hey girl, I saw you were a part of whatever. I love getting to know more like-minded mamas. I hope you don't mind I sent you a friend request. And a lot of people respond to that really well, and they'll accept that request just because they're like, oh yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, I do a very similar thing to Acacia, with all the groups that I'm in as well. And like we said, you want to try to find interest. Do you guys know how to find an interest group? Raise your hand if you don't. If you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Do some of y'all not know? Okay, well, let me switch it in. Because some of you, that might help you if you actually understand what we're talking about. Okay, can y'all see that? Yeah. Can you see my screen? Okay, cool. So when you're looking for a group, up on the top, and this is the example that I gave in our live power hour the other day, but I'm going to type in horses. Okay. So this is a topic, and I want to click over here on the top. I want to go to groups. And up here is going to pull up a ton of groups that talk about horses. So I can kind of click on a few and see, a lot of these are like for sale type things, but I can go through and see different groups that have to do with horses. And so I will, find one that I like, and I'll click join, and I'm going to wait to be requested or wait to be accepted into the group. And once I am, then you're going to do like what Acacia is talking about. People are going to be posting things. Let me show you an example of a group. Let's see. How about this? Moms Supporting Moms. Okay, this is a group that I'm a part of. And so what I do is, again, just like Acacia said, I will, post something every couple of days or maybe like once a week, but I always make sure to comment on things that I feel like I can add value to. So, that's like the selling thing. But, like this, at what point should I be concerned about a fever? And I was just talking about different things. And if I feel like I can add some kind of value to it, then I like it and I write something and I keep going. And then, I'll go back tomorrow or the next day, and I'll go in and I'll friend some of these people. I'll go through and see, are they around my age? Do they look like they have maybe kids around my age? Is she a mom of a boy maybe? Are there things that I could possibly have in common? And then I send a really, really similar message to what Acacia screenshotted for you. Hey girl, I just wanted to reach out and say hi. I love getting to connect with other moms. We're both in the Mom Supporting Moms group, so I just wanted to say hi. Something like that. But I always do it really soon after I commented or posted, and whoever liked or commented on that, because that way they feel they're going to like, oh, they might remember the picture or remember the name or something. They're going to remember who I am, if that makes sense. Does that help at all as far as like finding some friends in certain like specific areas? And like I said, be specific, not like fitness. Don't type in fitness up here. You don't want to do that. You want to type in things that are very specific to your hobby. So you think about things that are specific to you: knitting, horseback riding, crunchy moms. Acacia's super granola-ish and very crunchy and loves organic things. And so she's in some crunchy moms groups. I don't know, all kinds of stuff that you can think of. And I'm like in a group for moms of boys. So, think of things that are specific to you, and try to find some groups that go along with that. So you just type it into that top Facebook bar, and then make sure you scroll over to the right and click groups and see if there's anything that pops up for you. And you don't want to probably do more than like 2 to 4 different groups, because you're not going to be able to actually spend enough time in them. It's just going to be more filling up your newsfeed, and you're not even going to be focusing on anything. So I would say no more than 4 groups to be a part of, so that you can actually really focus and add value in them, and it not be more of a chore than something where you actually could be, helping people and getting something out of it. But that's groups and stuff. I'm trying to remember what the main question was again. Acacia, do we have anything else about that? It was about adding friends, right?
Yeah, it was adding friends without seeming salesy. And so that's how I do it. I go to interest groups. I connect with people in those interest groups, and then I add them as my friend, which is kind of like cold market turning to warm market, because as you get to know the people, then they're going to be, more in your warmish.
They become friends. Yeah. And also, yeah. And I was going to say, Ashley, too, so when you ask that question, even when I I add just like purely mutual friends. Like when I scroll through and I'm like, oh, they're a mutual friend of a couple girls of mine. I'll say something like that, like, hey girl, I saw that, you're mutual friends with so-and-so. Did you go to UGA, question mark? Or like, did you go to where, like, because I can tell that they might have, they might have gone to the same college, or they might have be in the same town or something like that. So you never need to first talk about the business at all. You never need to be like, I'm a fitness coach, I'm adding you right now because I need more people in my network. It doesn't have to be anything about that at all. It's all just, hey, I think we might have something in common. I love connecting with new people. I love making new friends, things like that. And trying to give them some kind of little nugget that lets them know that you have something in common with them, whether it's a group, whether it's a friend, whether it's whatever. That way it doesn't seem like creepy and weird. Does that make sense? Does that help at all? Does that answer your question a little bit more? Okay, good. Awesome. All right. Okay, let's look at the next question. The next one, this was from Rachel. And Rachel, I don't know if you're on here. I can't see everybody on this page. But, okay, so she said, could you share exactly different forms of trackers that you use to organize your business? Okay, cool. All right, so she just wanted to know some trackers. Who doesn't have a tracker that they really, really love using yet? Like, who doesn't have a way that they're tracking, like, their customers and their power hour and all that kind of stuff? Okay, so quite a few of you. And Mia and Angela. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. So I will screen share a couple of those, and then Acacia can show you what she's done to hers as well. She's kind of adapted a couple also. Let me go into, here, let me screen share first. Okay.
And I'll say too, it took a while before I found something that worked really well for me. So you might have to, use what we have and decide like what's going to work best for you.
Yeah, amen to that. Because when Acacia and I began, the big thing was like everything online, like the online tracker and the online power of threes. And we were both working full time at school. And for me, that worked for me when I was at school. She's always been a pen and paper girl, but that worked really well for me to have it on my computer screen, because when I taught middle school, and so they had a lot of projects and things that they were doing, and so I was able to have it on my computer, and if I ever got a blank second, I would go over and I'd send a couple messages and I'd just input their name into my Power of Threes tracker. But that's not always the best thing for you. And so now as a mom working at home, being online all day, not happening. And so I had to change to paper and pen. And so I've talked about this a little bit, and I use it kind of a combination of things now. So I'll tell you what I use, and then I'll show you some of the things that are accessible to you in our Google Drive. For me, what I have found as far as just tracking daily information, as far as like my to-do list and my contact list, I love using a plain old notebook. And I've talked about this if you've listened to any of my calls or things like that. But what I do is, for example, so here's my notebook, okay? And you don't really need to see what's in it, but I just use both sides. And so when I have it open to me, on the left-hand side, I write contacts on the top. And on the right-hand side, don't listen to me. On the left-hand side, I write contacts, that's right. But on the right-hand side, I write to-do list. Okay, so the left-hand side says contacts, and the right-hand side says to-do list. And on my right-hand side, I literally write down my entire to-do list for the day. Now, it's easy to be like, oh my gosh, I want to make a video about that. And I also want to totally revamp my whole new coach packet, and I want to do all this big stuff. But that's not the kind of stuff that goes on there. It's my to-do list that I know that I need to do for the day. So whether it's like vacuuming or doing the laundry, little things like that, I also add that on that page so that I can really see and kind of plan out my day. And a lot of times I put that to-do list on there the night before. So before I go to bed, I kind of am already thinking ahead to the next day, and I'm jotting down some things. Okay, I need to add my new coach, whoever, to the team page, or I need to congratulate so-and-so for becoming an Emerald coach. And I'll go ahead and have that on my next day. On the contact side over here, you'll see I have like a massive list of people here. That is anybody that I contact in that day. And I kind of make it in categories, invites, and I jot down all the people, and Shakeology samples sent out to all these people, invited to my sneak peek, write all those people down, and I put my entire contact list on that side. Now, the one reason that I like having it in a notebook like this outside of any other tracker is that it's all in one place and I can easily flip back through and think about, okay, so that girl Holly, when did I talk to her last? And I can literally scroll back through all the left-hand sides of my notebook and see all the people that I've talked to, and it's all right there in one notebook. So to me, I really like that. I don't have to flip through a bunch of different sections and stuff. That works for me. But then on top of that, and I'm going to show you this tracker that I use and that Acacia has adapted for herself and for her team, which is something that we just recently received from a group that we were in. And it is called, let me show you. Am I screen sharing? Can y'all see this? Okay, cool. It's this coach tracker right here. Okay, so we are in an elite training group with some of the very top coaches of our team, and we are loving this tracker because it really, really outlines everything that you need to do within a day and also within your power hour. Now, I'm going to tell you what I use because I don't use all the sheets in here. There's just a lot of extra stuff, and you just don't need them. So depending upon what type of level you are, which you guys are all coach because you are all brand new or at least maybe just a month into coaching. Okay, so this is your coach tracker. Oops, hold on. This is your coach tracker. There's a monthly action plan, and so a lot of times I'll print this out, and this is kind of just like my big brain dump thing to put in all the things that I want to do for the month. So I highly recommend putting that out because I kind of think of Acacia and I plan a month out. So we plan, month by month. So we're already talking about March and we're only in the middle of February, but we kind of plan out what we're going to do. And I have similar things that I do every single month. So I like to print out this monthly action plan and kind of just put some big things in here. And so, for example, things that go in my monthly thing they're bigger things like, let's see, like, updating my friends list, or, I want to update my cover photos for my page, big things that are not to-dos for this specific day, but they're just within the month, I'd like to get them done. And then the next thing that I really use is, I don't really use the weekly tracker, but I don't really feel like I need to do that, but I use this daily one. And this is what helps me so much in my power hour. This allows me to kind of schedule out my day. Unfortunately, right now, I don't have a time where I literally sit and work for, 5 hours and then I'm done for the day. I don't have that ability being a mom. I have to kind of work in the cracks a little bit, whether I get a couple hours at a time versus just a couple minutes. And so I kind of plan out my day that way. I plan out, maybe a couple things that I really need to do in the morning, maybe a post or two or a follow-up I need to do here. And then at night, maybe I need to answer a few messages or add people to a certain group. I kind of break out my day for that. These are my 3 big things that I have to do by the end of that day. And then I plan out my posts too. And a lot of times, this is something that I do the night before. I'll plan out my social media posts. So like, if it's Wednesday and I'm thinking about Thursday, I'm going to think, okay, I want to post something about Thirsty Thursday, or I want to post something about Throwback Thursday. I want to post some kind of like old picture of myself and show like a transformation. Or, maybe I'm going to pick strawberries the next day. So I want to post a picture about that too, and about how, coaching has allowed me to have flexibility in my life because I get to go and spend time with friends and my son and go pick strawberries. I don't know where that came from, but that was just, just an example. So, kind of think ahead a little bit, and it really helps you to do that. And so what I've done is I have like 20 of these printed out in my binder, and they're all here, and I can see from the day before, and they're all in my binder like that. And then going off of your power hour, you see how it shows you the whole list of what you should do as a coach, as a new coach, what you should be doing every day. Every day you should not go to bed without checking your Coach Online office. You should not go to bed without checking into whatever training you're in, or into your team, what's it called? Not groups, but team pages. Okay, your coaches and your upline coaches and myself and Acacia, we post things in those groups for you guys because it's important. So you have to go in and check that. Challenge groups, if you're in a challenge group, whether it be free or paid, you need to check in. You need to check in on your girls and comment on their stuff and help them and engage with them. Okay, reply to commenters and likers. On any of your posts, reply to them. like the comment. That pushes it back out into your newsfeed and creates more traction on your post. It allows more people to like your post. You'll notice if you haven't looked at it all day, and you'll go and like all those comments and post on each of them, you'll notice that all of a sudden you'll start getting more likes and more comments right away on that post. So even when you do that to coach posts, I try to go through and like some of your posts, and Acacia, I always like her post and comment on it when she posts, because that pushes it back out into her newsfeed and allows other people to see it. Last couple things on your Power Hour, comment on 3 other posts. That's not coach post. That's other people's posts, people that are just your friends, people who are not customers. If you're spending your time scrolling through your newsfeed and only commenting on coach posts, no wonder you don't have anybody interested in anything. It's because you're not commenting on people who are not customers yet. You have to find other people. Even though we want to support each other and we want to support coaches, you have to also really focus on, before you go do that, focus on other people who are not your customers yet. Message 3 friends, and this is like we did in our Power Hour. Hey girl messages. Hey girl, how are you doing? You look so great. Your kids are so grown up. Where did you guys move to? How are you liking pharmacy school? Anything like that. Nothing to do with coaching, but just a hey girl, what's up? How's your life going kind of message. So you can kind of get on their radar and start building that relationship, or rebuilding it, or just kind of messaging them and seeing what's up. It kind of opens that line of communication between them. Messages of encouragement, that can be just comments on pictures. Girl, I love your dress. Or, oh my gosh, your hair looks so cute, short. Anything like that. Random little comments that kind of add encouragement to their day. And then what Acacia and I already talked about, interacting in your interest groups and commenting, posting, liking, and then using that as a way to kind of infuse new friendships. And then this is just a way for you to, again, track new people. Each day, if you're doing these things, you guys, there's no way that your business will not continue to move forward. If you're adding 3 new people a day, and you're inviting 3 people a day to your challenge group, and you're inviting 3 people a day to coaching, and following up with 3 people who you already invited to something, there's no way that you're not going to at least be creating possible and potential customers and coaches from doing that. And then the last thing that I really like about this tracker is that it just works on you. You need to do your Shakeology. Drink your Shakeology and do your workout every day. Guys, that's our vital behaviors. If you come to me and you say, I don't know, I just feel like I'm really struggling right now, one of the first things that I ask you is, are you doing your 3 vital behaviors? And almost 90% of the time we're like, well, I'm just kind of taking time off. I'm just not really, drinking my Shakeology right now or working out. Well, that's why you have to share about it and post about it. Otherwise, why would people want to join you? Why would people want to try that? They don't know why it's so awesome because they're not seeing you do it. So, okay, anything else about that? Keisha, do you have anything to add about that?
No, yeah, I completely agree with the 3 vital behaviors. And just like, if you're not doing it on a regular basis, sorry, there's like a moth.
I could see that. I was like, what is that?
Then yeah, nobody's seeing you do it. Or if you're doing it and you're not posting about it, then it's like you didn't do it. Not that you have to post your Shakeology picture every single day, because that gets a little annoying. But you need to be sharing your journey. So doing it yourself and sharing about it are so important. So if you're, you could be connecting with a ton of people, but if you're not sharing your health and fitness journey along with like your family and your kids and things like that, then nobody's even going to know that you're working on your health and fitness. So there's a good mix of it all. So my Power Hour tracker is very similar to that. I just put more space for, I'll share it real quick. Where's my screen share? There it is. Okay, so this is what mine looks like, and like I said, it's really similar. I took out my morning, noon, the scheduler right here, just because I work in the mom cracks, like Ashley said, and there's just I do as much as I can in one setting, and then I kind of finish up throughout the day. And so I gave myself more room for relationship building, because honestly, that's where your business is going to grow. So you don't have to have 5. You can start with 2, and then as you get better, 3, 4, 5, or whatever.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this tracker too is more for coaches who are a little bit further along. So like, we both have leader trackers because there's more things that we have to do, like checking in on coaches and other things. But as a new coach, the one that we just showed you where it's more like toned down, that's more on your level so that you don't overwhelm yourself and feel like a failure for not getting that many people added or that many messages out. So just wanted to preface that.
Yeah, and this part's the same as the coach as the what you just saw. It's the exact same. The only thing that I did differently is I just gave myself more room for names, and then I added this part in for me. I have and kind of like what Ashley said, I have a check-in like scheduler, so I remind myself to go back and check my follow-ups and if I'm supposed to do those. And then this reminds me to keep my butt out of Facebook jail, because I'm not sure if they had that in the other one about deleting past invites. If they don't accept your invite within a week's time, then you need to go ahead and delete them. And that's either because they're not active enough on Facebook to really, engage with, or sadly, they don't want to be your friend. And guess what? I delete lots of them. So just kind of sucks when you have to delete 10 in a row, but you just go on. And then this one's for me. Just crossing off and moving their names over when they did accept my invite. So that way I know to, start interacting with that person. Once they accept an invite, I want to make sure I go to their page. I like their stuff. I interact. So that's my only little difference there. But what I would say is vital is not so much what tracker you use. It's just that you are using a tracker. So there's a whole bunch in mine that you can pick from. And I know Ashley's got several different ones that we've used throughout the past. And what's key is just that you are using a tracker. You're writing it down. Your memory is flawed. And if you have kids, it's really flawed. And if you're pregnant with kids, then it's no good at all. And you're not going to remember. So if you don't write it down, you're going to miss out on a lot of follow-ups. You're going to miss out on a lot of relationships that could have been built. And it's going to hurt your business. So make sure that you are writing it down and tracking. And if you don't have any sort of system, write it down in a piece of notebook paper until you figure out what works best for you, and then you can move stuff over. So
yeah, and that's where the notebook system works well if you want that. Two of you guys just asked questions in the chat box. Leah, you asked, do you track everyone that you request? Yes, ma'am, because otherwise if you don't, then when you go through your news feed, you forget to like their stuff and you wonder, okay, are they a coach already? Are they a new customer? How do I even know them? And so a lot of times I have to go back through, and this is the same thing as Acacia's. Hers is just highlighted, but you see this is in that tracker that we screen shared for you. At the end of it, there's a new section that says contact management. You want to print those out, and I print out again 20 of them, and I have them in my binder so I never have an excuse. And it says friends added. There's going to be their name, their detail or interest. So a lot of times, if they're from a mom's group, I jot a little note down. They're from my Fit page. Or they're from my Moms Supporting Moms group, or they're from my Mommy Talk group, or whatever. And then right here, it's going to say, can y'all see that? Yeah, it's going to say added and then accepted. So I'm going to check the box of added, and then I always forget to say accepted. But you're going to go and check off the box where it says accepted once they've accepted you. And then what I immediately do is I go and I send them a message. Something like Acacia and I already told you if they're from a friends group of mine. If they're from a Fit page, from my Fit page, I always say, hey girl, thank you so much for liking my Fit page. I'm just a mom sharing my journey, blah, 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 whatever I want to say. Thank you so much for following along. Hey, if you're ever interested in anything you see me post about, please feel free to reach out. Something like that. And so when you request them, you want to immediately jump on that and send them a message so that you can capitalize on their new friendship and make sure that those lines of communication are kind of opened. Because a lot of times they'll wait for you to say something. They won't automatically just be like, hi, why'd you friend me? So you want to make sure that you kind of start that conversation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, my highlights are just when they accept, I highlight. That way I can know that they accepted. And if they don't accept, I delete their, then I cross them out so I know that I've deleted them. It's super important, guys, when you're requesting a lot of people, that you make sure you go back and you delete people that didn't accept you, because you will end up in Facebook jail. Do you guys know how to delete a request?
I was just gonna say, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
I can show it real quick.
Okay.
So you go to your Facebook, you go to your people, you go to see all, okay, and then you go to view sent request. You see it right up here? You click on that. And then these are all the ones. And then you can go to like see more, right? And so like you can see, and this is all in a week's time, guys. This is not like they're sitting there very long. So these people, okay, so she's been there like 9 days. So I'm gonna go here, cancel request. And then I'm gonna make sure that I go to my tracker and here's her name. I can see her name right here on this list. And what I do is I just cross her out. So I know like, and that way too, if I eventually decide I want to friend request her again, I don't do it like in 3 days because then that's just weird. So if I'm like looking at my mom's groups and I'm like, oh, I really like her, I'm going to go back and see, have I already friend requested her once? I don't want to do that often. And then
yeah, it's really important to do that because you don't want to sound silly when you go to invite them to something again, or you go to friend request them again, you say the same message again. It just makes you look bad, and they're going to be like, I don't want to join this girl. Like, she's cray. Like, why is she sending me the same message? So you want to make sure that you're tracking, and y'all, it will make such a huge difference. When I was at the New Leader Conference a month ago, Melanie Mitra was talking, and she was talking about how she has never been an online person. She literally has notebook after notebook after notebook, and she can still just flip through and literally see all of those friend requests, all of those people, all of those customers in her notebooks. And it's so cool to be able to go back and flip through and see that. You know, while some of you tech savvy people might be able to make that work for you in like an Excel spreadsheet or something, I tried for months and months and months, for about 8 months, and I found myself not looking forward to my power hour. I found myself not wanting to invite people, not wanting to sit down and work because it was stressing me out and it was not something that came easy to me. So now my good old pen and paper, I love it, and I'm excited to work because it's easy and I have a system that works for me. So Acacia and I really revamped what we do, and we love that tracker that I shared with you. So I highly recommend going through, at least just print it out and just try it. There's 3 different sections. There's the coach tracker, there's the business builder tracker, and then there's the leader tracker. Throw those last 2 out. You just want the coach tracker right now, okay, as your new coaches. And then you want to print out the contact management part. And that's where you're going to see the sheet for friends added. There's a sheet to track potential customers. And there's also a sheet to track potential coaches. And it looks exactly the same as the friends added sheet, but it just allows you to have 3 separate spaces to kind of figure out where you want to put people. So we recommend that you try to figure out what works for you. And it might not just happen overnight. It might take you a couple months to kind of figure out. Maybe you use a little bit of this and maybe you use a notebook like I do. You might have a couple things that work for you, and that's totally fine. But you just need to figure out we can't tell you what to do, and nobody else can tell you what to do because we're not you, and we don't know how your mind works and how your business is going to work for you. But you will find something. Don't get discouraged. You will find something that works the best for you. And as far as what we do, that's how we stay organized. And it helps us to be able to see everything written down because we can just flip back through and see all those people and really easily be able to follow up and know what we said to those people. When you write their names down, always jot a note next to them. Something about what you talked about, because if you don't, then you're going to wind up in one of those awkward situations where you either invite them to the same thing multiple times or you say the same thing to them multiple times, and you don't want to do that. Okay, we are going on like 40 minutes, so this is a long call. I'm going to try to scroll through a couple of these questions and answer. We can maybe pick 2 more to answer, and then we'll have to just comment on them in the team page. That way we don't take up, hours of time. Because like I said, we could sit here and chat on these questions a lot. Acacia, do you see any that are like specifically really good you think that we could talk about? I'm going to skip over the Instagram ones because y'all need to watch the Instagram National Wake Up Call from today before we do that. If we still have a lot of questions about social media, we can tackle that on our next call in 2 weeks. But for now, let's skip over Instagram. We just told you a few things about Facebook, really utilizing those interest groups and how to add friends and things like that. So, but tonight or tomorrow, that's your homework to go watch the National Wake Up Call if you have not watched it yet. And then let us know if you still have questions about that. Let me see some of these other questions. Christy, you asked, well, while Acacia's looking at some of the other ones, Christy asked, do I use Instagram to find more people or Facebook? And honestly, I do both, but a lot of my coaches and challengers come from Instagram. But it has flip-flopped. It's gone both ways. Like sometimes there's months and months and months where it's all Instagram. And then there's other months where it's like all old Facebook friends and old Facebook people who I've gathered from joining my Fit page and stuff. So it kind of goes back and forth. I wouldn't really say there's one that's like specifically that you should really target. I definitely agree with using both.
Yeah, I like the one that Courtney asked about, like, where do you begin just trying to fight the overwhelm? What's the best way to go about inviting others to your challenge groups? One simple way to invite to challenge groups is as you're interacting with people on your like Facebook page, people who've been liking and commenting and following your journey. A really easy way, you know, if they've been liking your photos and your pictures and you've been kind of interacting with them, you can message them and say something like, hey girl, I just want to say thank you so much for your support and for following my fitness journey. It means the world to me. I just wanted to see if you'd be interested in da-da-da-da-da, and then you invite them. So it's like, it's an easy way, which is like not super threatening, because if they've been liking your stuff, then you know they've been seeing, you know, what you're doing, and they're interested in your journey. And sometimes they're just, you know, there for support, but a lot of times those people are too shy to reach out to you. So they're, you know, when you reach out to them, they're like, yeah, you know, I really been thinking about it. And that kind of sparks the conversation. But the only way you're going to get people to like and comment and follow your journey is if you are making sure you're doing that connecting, you know, and that power hour. So if you're getting crickets on your page, it's probably because you're not connecting with enough people and they're not seeing your stuff. So it's kind of like a double-edged thing. You've got to be making sure you're connecting, and then as people start to follow you, you're going to start to invite them. And so that's one of the ways that I do a super easy invite. And I can invite 5 or 6 people, you know, every couple of days off of those.
Just likes and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say too, so like it's like what I always tell my new coaches of where to begin, and I've been talking about that tracker a lot more, because a lot of times it's like, okay, but like how much should I invite and how many people do I add and all that kind of stuff. And y'all, I promise if you just print out, even if you don't really use it, use that tracker as a guide of what you should do, because it's a very well-rounded time that you should be spending during your day on what you should be doing for your business. Inviting 3 people. We just showed you a bunch of ways to invite. Following up with 3 people. I'm sure if you're inviting people, then you have people to follow up with, and that's just pick 3 people. A lot of times I think new coaches think like, okay, they're learning all this stuff and it's like, I got to do it all now. And you don't have to. Lean on your upline, lean on me, lean on Acacia, lean on your other coaches. Even if you're not RPS coaches, lean on us and ask us questions. But jump in groups too. Don't try to host your first group like within days of starting. Y'all, you'll just get really overwhelmed. It might go awesome, but you might get really overwhelmed. So, you know, try to join it with another coach or ask your upline, can I join your group? Can I just see how it works and you know, invite and see if I get anybody? And, you know, that's an easy way too. Don't stress yourself out. I see a lot of questions over here about like, what do I do for my first group? How do I host my first group? Host it with your upline. Wait for their free group to come up and host it with them. You know, don't get too overwhelmed by doing that. And if you're just focusing on that one sheet, the checklist that we just showed you guys in that tracker, it really is going to help you kind of just dumb it down to the minimum of what you should be doing. And then any extra time you have, awesome. Spend it inviting more people. Spend it connecting more in your groups. Spend it asking more questions, you know, but don't get overwhelmed with trying to do everything all at once. The main thing is working on you. Do your Vital 3s, do your Shakeology and your workouts, and share about it. If you're not sharing about it, nobody's going to want to join you because they have no idea what you're doing. Okay, you have to be talking about it. And it doesn't have to be like a walking billboard for Beachbody, but it just needs to be sharing about it. You see, I post workout videos, or I'll post like, a picture of my Shakeology every couple of days, and I'll talk about why I love it. It's so easy, or there's all these superfoods, or, whatever it is. You'll see lots of people posting about their kids being able to drink it, get creative in different ways that you can share about it. Then doing your personal development, y'all, you have to do personal development. You cannot skip that. And I totally skipped that for the first month or two of my business, and it bit me in the butt. You have to be doing personal development, whether it's 5 minutes a day or an hour a day, something that grows you as a person, whether it's reading the Bible and reading, whatever kind of religious things you like to read, but also reading things that are going to help better you as a leader and as a person. And emotionally, when you're getting different no's and negative reactions to what you're doing, that's one of the first things that I hear from new coaches is, I'm so nervous about what my friends and my family are going to think, or people are telling me that I shouldn't be doing this, things like that. And it's hard. We're human, and we're also women. We're emotional. It's hard for us to not let that get to you. And so one of the main things that can really, really help you with that is reading some kind of personal development. There's a bunch of good ones. We always talk about The Slight Edge is a great book to start with. It's just awesome. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just really good. Go for No is a skinny read, and it's awesome. It's talking about inviting, going balls to the wall and just doing it. And all those no's, it's just not going to faze you. You're going to keep on pushing for that no, because inside all those no's is one yes, or two yeses, or just a few yeses down the road. And that's a really great book. Gosh, there's so many different ones. I'm trying to think of other ones.
I just listened to one, guys, and I do. Sorry, my kid's in the bath. I do Audible because finding time to read outside of my devotional time is really hard. So audible.com, it's $13 a month, which seems like a lot, but that's really one book a month. And I love it. It's so worth the money. But I just listened to Go Giver, and I'm listening to Go Giver Sell More, and it gives a really good perspective on growing your business and just where your heart is, and how I think a lot of us sometimes feel salesy, especially when you're a new coach, and it gives a completely different perspective on growing your business without feeling salesy, and I really like it. So it's called Go Giver.
Yeah.
Ashley, have you read that one?
The Go Giver?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So those are just a few, and like I said, we could take up your time talking about a million things, but if you have really specific other questions that really did not get answered tonight, please ask them, post them in our team, in that page, and we can attack those on our next call and chat about those. But hopefully this helps give you guys kind of some things to go with, as far as tracking and kind of what to do first. So I'll focus on you, focus on your journey. If you think about it that way, and think about, I am not selling anything. I always say this, I'm selling my lifestyle. I'm just sharing what I'm doing. I love it, and I'm passionate about it. And so I try to infuse that into every single post that I make, so that people know that whatever I'm doing, I love it, and that it's awesome, and there are people getting results, and there is community around this thing that we call coaching. And so if you're just sharing about it, people are going to see that. So don't focus on the selling part. Don't focus on Success Club and trying to sell a certain amount of challenge packs and all that kind of stuff. While that's good, and we do want you to do that, that just gets you more and more overwhelmed. So you really just want to focus on you. Focus on sharing your journey and everything, and tracking and doing your Vital Threes. You're doing your Power Hour. You can't just sit back and just post and not do anything else. You need to do that tracker that we showed you. But other than that, that's the bare minimum of what you should start with as a new coach. And just be informed. Look through your back office, look through your team pages, and ask lots of questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions as new coaches. It's a good thing. That's about all I have. Okay, Akeisha, you have anything else?
Yeah, I would. My last thing, especially as new coaches, is don't get too stressed out or too overwhelmed, or let this business run your life. Because yes, you want to give it your all, but then again, you really got to work to avoid burnout. And if you are spending all of your time on this business, and you're missing out on your family, and you're missing out on your life. Yes, there's a little bit of sacrifice that comes into it, but you need to make sure that you're still having balance. Because what I find is there'll be coaches who push for 2, maybe 3 months, and then all of a sudden they're like, I can't do this anymore. My family, they never see me, da 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 da, and then they're burnt out. And so you just have to really find a good balance where you schedule the time, get time efficient, do the power hour, do it an hour, or say you're going to do 2 hours, whatever you say you're going to do, stick with that, and then don't neglect your family, because when you neglect your family or you neglect your own personal needs, you're going to get burned out and you're going to get way overwhelmed. So there's a really nice balance that you got to find as a new coach right now. So you want to make it work, but if you put way too much of yourself in it and you're spending all of your spare time on your phone, you're not going to last.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because you'll hear all the coaches, like at our big conferences and stuff, you'll hear all of them say the same thing. Get your family involved, get your kids involved, get your husband involved, tell them what you're doing, let them be a part of it so they feel like, this, when I have coaches who are like, I'm just so overwhelmed, I say, don't work today. Like literally step away and come back when you feel excited about it again, because this should never be something that is super stressful or that you don't look forward to. Y'all, this is fun. It should be something fun, getting to help people and being in community with other women and men, but mostly women who are empowering and who are, positive and uplifting. And when it becomes something other than that, then when I have days where I'm like, ugh, I'm in a funk, like I'm just not in a good place today, I don't go to work at that time yet. I come back a little bit later that day when I have more of a clear head and I am, more in a better place to go and reach out to people and to actually want to help them. So, just always try to keep it in a positive place. If you're in a funk or you're having a rough day, then come back to it. That's the beauty of this business. It's not something to try to like chain you down where you have a boss, telling you got all these deadlines and stuff. This is like a flexible, awesome job that you have, even if it's your part-time job or hobby or whatever. So yeah, Acacia's got bath time going on. So, keep it fun, keep it positive. And if ever you get too overwhelmed, reach out and ask for help. And also just take a little breather, step back, and then come back later when you feel like you got your cookies in line again, So that's about all we have for you. We kind of went all over the place and touched on like a bunch of different things. But hopefully that helped you in some form or fashion, whether this is your first new coach call or it's your second or third new coach call. We're always happy to have you.
Definitely.
So I think that's it. I will post the recording in both team pages. And then, like I said, if y'all have questions, ask us. Acacia, what'd you say?
I said I'll post it in ours as well.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, you guys have a great night. I'm glad y'all hopped on. And like I said, ask us questions if you have them still that didn't get covered. And we'll get back to you. Okay? Bye.